Hey everybody, welcome to the first full-length tutorial of HappyWorks apps. Trying to reach out to the Android community here and well, show you one or two things about building apps. I'm not a Java developer. I don't know anything about Android. I just started it and I just went with Google and tried to find my way into this. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to assume that you set up your Java Eclipse environment and you set up your Android SDKs, and we're going to build an Android project. So select new Android project and give your project a name. Convention states that we use camel case here, so let's start simple and let's start saving the world. So let's call it save the world, camel case, as you can see. And let's choose a build target. Now obviously you don't want to choose a build target that's too low, because you can't use all the features that higher build targets will offer you. And you don't want to choose a build target that's too high, because you might use features that are not yet widely accepted in the community. So Android 2.3.3 is a nice build target to build on, because it's well, the most used platform right now. In a few years from now it might be totally different. So select next and specify your package name. Convention states that we use the top level domain, your own domain, and then you get your project name in there. So let's save the world. And we're not going to create a test project. We're going to make finish. Now actually the IDE already made a totally executable project. As you can see, it has a Java file, it even has a layout, and it's probably ready to run. I'll just go ahead and run it as an Android application, and I'll give the emulator some seconds to start up. So if you see this, you might go, what just happened there? The emulator takes forever to start up. Well, that's because I paused the movie there. So no worries, your emulator will take some time, but it will start up eventually. So what do we see here? It's the app that the IDE made for us. It's a save the world activity, and it shows a little line here, hello world, and then the name of the activity. Okay, so what we want to do now is, for instance, add a nice button here. So we'll just go ahead and get to the res folder, which holds all your resources, and we'll go to the layout and open the main.xml. Now this is your basic XML file showing the layout of your application. So it states that there is some text view in here, and it states some string. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just create a button here. We have the graphical layout, which enables us to place a button right there and maybe match its parent like that. Now if we check the main, it will say that we added a button in the XML, and it says button right here, and that's the text on the button, the caption. Now you want to create an app that's versatile and that will enable you to publish it all over the world. So we're just going to go ahead and make this a variable. So how do we do that? We select the text. This is actually a bug. If you see this happening, you see the text changing when I select it. It's really confusing. You just want to press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So Ctrl A, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, just copy and paste the whole thing, and that solves your bug. Now select the button, and you want to go to refactor, and then you want to go to Android and extract Android string. Select that, and you see the string button replaced by our string. So we're going to do the simple string replacement. Now we don't want to replace it by our string button, but we want to replace it by something like save the world button text. That's the name of our variable, and we're just gonna go ahead and click OK. Now you see that the text has changed to save the world underscore button underscore text. Let's look at it in a graphical layout. It still says button. So how's that done? Well, in your values folder, there's now a strings.xml file. And that strings.xml file, if we open it, you will see that it contains a save the world underscore button underscore text variable, which says button. So let's just go ahead and let's save. Now you can imagine that all you have to do to translate it is give this file to a translator. He or she will replace the save with bewaren. Can't come up with the right word in German right now, but you can imagine that he or she would translate the whole thing, and you would just have to republish your application with that file. So there was a small interruption. Let me just check if the video is running. Yep, small interruption of my phone. I'm sorry. It's my boy's birthday tomorrow, so he's having a birthday party. And actually that was the first cancellation. It's a bit pity, but well, there will be enough visitors to make a nice party, and probably we'll have nice weather, so might even put the swimming pool to use. Alright, so what did we do? We changed the main, and we saw that the strings XML popped up, and we now have a main layout that has a button which is captioned by string. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove this silly text view that Android made for us. So now we did that, let's put that button to use. And this is where it gets interesting. You have this save the world activity, and what it actually does, and it took me a long time to grasp this concept, is it defines a public class. So this is really your basic Java, and you want to do some reading on this to really understand it. Some things I don't understand myself, so I'm just going to work around them and call it as we see it. So what this is it's a class called save the world activity, and it extends a superclass that is defined in the system, which is activity. Activity has a method, and one of its methods is onCreate. OnCreate is the method that's called when the activity is created. So in the save the world activity, we want to override that onCreate method. And that's exactly what happens here. It sets the content view to our layout main, which is actually that main XML file we saw and created the button on. So now let's go ahead and define a private button called save btn right here. Now, as you can see, Android warns us that the variable or the type button cannot be resolved. That's because we didn't import it. So if you want to import it, you add the line here, but you can also get Android to do that for you. So just hover over the board and click import button as a widget. There it goes. Now there's only one yellow line left, which means that the variable of that variable isn't used in the code, just to give you a heads up. So we're going to put it to use. What we're going to do is say that save btn is actually a button, and this is interesting. Every button is a view. So to get the specific attributes and properties that belong to a button, we have to cast the view to the type button, because now we're gonna find the view, and I'm gonna press Control Space here, and it auto completes. Find view by ID, and as you might have seen in the XML file, our button has an ID. In this case, it's ID button 1. So what we're going to do here is tell Android that it's a resource, it's an ID, and there is button 1. And finish your line of code with a semicolon. Great. So in the onCreate, we now have a save button, which has the assigned to the view, which holds our button. Obviously, we also want to create some on-click listener, and there are many ways to do this, but the most easy way to explain and to grasp the concept is to get that save btn and set on-click listener. Now, in this case we set the on-click listener to L, but we don't have an L yet, so what we're going to do is set the on-click listener to a new on-click listener. And now everything seems to happen at once. So let's see what just happened. I pressed Control space, and what happened was this. Eclipse created a on-click view in the new on-click listener. So just bear with me a second as I import the on-click listener like that. Take care of some errors there, and I place a semicolon to close this line of code, because actually what happened is this is a new line of code. You can see new on-click listener has the bracket here, and it's all the way to here. Here. You see, if I remove this, we have the on-click listener, and this is actually what is in the where the L used to be. So it's a new on-click listener, and it has a method onClick, and this is the code that will actually be executed when we click the button. So for now, let's put a simple log statement here, log.d, some tag here, tag, and here we put the message, the button was clicked, exclamation point, again semicolon. Now we could run this app and see in our log file, in our logcat, that the button was clicked, but it would be nice to show something in the UI as well. So let's make it toast, which is actually a short message in the screen. Toast dot make text, get the application base context, and you want to put something like you saved the world. Yeah. Duration is standard, and you want to get the toast dot length long, for instance, and then you tell it to show. There you have it. Okay, so no errors. You've seen the import toast. If you autocomplete, it will also manage the imports for you. So let's go ahead and run this application. So as you can see, I've got the emulator up and running, and I switched to the logcat right here, so you can see the log as we go. And I'll just go ahead and click the save button, and you'll see a line in the logcat showing up, and you'll see that it will show a toast right here. Yep. I'll do it again. Yep. That's it. So that's pretty much sums up the first tutorial. I talked about the main a bit. I talked about changing your strings to variables, how to do that, and we implemented an on-click listener, which executes a piece of code when you click a button. There's really nothing more to it. That's your first simple app, and I'm looking forward to making tutorial number 2 for you. Thanks.